Ebrima, Tunkara, and Gambians hail from Farafenni and Albreda in the North Bank region of the Gambia. With humble beginnings, the duo precisely use education as a tool for ultimate transformation and success. From Nusrat High School to the University of the Gambia, Turkey, and now the USA, the climb to the top have been consistent and persistent. While my own path has become intertwined with theirs these many years since high school, I watch with admiration their growth over time, often marked by tenacious moves, daring adventures such as immersing oneself in new cultures, learning an entirely different language as a medium of instruction for a higher degree, testing boundaries, and breaking into complex and fast-paced environments like corporate America as scientists and financial analysts in some of the leading companies in the US. Today, they serve as inspiration for a generation of young Gambians aiming for the sky. All right, so thank you and welcome to Migrant Stories, Tales from the Gambia Diaspora, a program where we bring you stories about Gambians wherever they are, whether in Europe or in the US, what they are dealing with in terms of their struggles, in terms of their hustle, their job, their businesses, etc., etc. Today I have two young dynamic I want to say brothers whom I have come a long way with since our time at UTG, Turkey, and now here. So thank you guys so much. I will just brief you about what is going to happen or what has been happening. This is a series that I've started. It was informed by my visit the last time that I was here and interacting with people like you who have come here with ambitions and working really hard to achieve your dreams, and seeing also the perception that Gambians have of migrants. Yeah, I just want to create a platform where you guys share your stories so that people can really know what is behind your struggle, and whatever they get from you, they should understand it's coming from hard work and commitment and all of that. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe I will be referring to you guys by your surnames because they're both Ebrima.
Yeah, right. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. Okay, so today what we're going to be looking at is you guys' journey to the US and in corporate America and what that means, and what your different jobs entail, and also to discuss certain things, especially with the stock market, Ebrima Gambians, to enlighten people on what that means and how they can get into it, especially Gambians who might be interested in investing in that market. And Tunkara, you two will be discussing about your journey. Maybe we're going to talk briefly about your journey to Turkey as well. And for you people, if I wasn't aware of your journey, if I didn't know where you began, I would have said this life that you currently have was settled for you and handed down to you. But because I know you and because I'm aware of your journey, I know it took hard work and dedication and integrity to get yourself to where you are today. But before we get into that, I would like you to briefly introduce yourselves and the nature of your job. Maybe mention your company. I will start with Ebrima Gambians.
Thank you for having me on this show, and my brother, of course. I am Ebrima Gomez, and I'm from Albreda, and I currently work in FP&A, Financial Planning and Analysis. I've been in corporate America since 2019 after graduating, and just an overview, I build models and tell the company where their money is going, what investments are bringing in higher returns and which ones are not doing very well, and what to budget, what to kick out, what to forecast, those kind of fun stuff. So yeah, that's kind of a quick overview of really what I do.
Yeah, you mentioned since graduation. Where did that happen? Did you graduate here in the US or somewhere else?
Yes, I mean, my journey to the United States, of course, started with UTG was the hardcore one. Graduated 2012, economics major and finance minor, and then worked briefly at Axis Bank and then UTG, and then later on won the Turkish scholarship, Turkish Bursary in 2014, and then pursue a MSc Economics at Anadolu University in Eskişehir, Turkey. And then while pursuing that program, I came over to the United States as an exchange student. I always had a plan. I want to see what the world is like. I want to explore how much I can do and where it can challenge me the most. And corporate America always enticed me. Everything moves so fast. It's so cool, right? To keep from Alberta is enticing. And I came over to the United States in 2016 and of course was exploring other opportunities for schools out here. The education is great. I applied for an MBA. But with my bro, and so of course it was his idea. Hey bro, you doing so well, why don't you apply out here? So I applied and I got admission at the University of Illinois for an MBA program. And whilst writing my thesis, I started that program, came over, whilst writing my thesis, doing the MBA program and working as a data analyst over there. And graduated 2019 with an MBA, graduate certificate in entrepreneurship and data analytics. And in August, I landed my first job with a payment processing company called Sphere in Irving, Texas. That's when it all started.
That is brilliant. I'm trying to keep up with everything that you published. Yeah, that is so inspiring. And now we move on to you, Ebrima Tunkara, my brother from Farafenye. I just want to preemptively say that. Go ahead, Ebrima.
Oh, thank you. I'm just glad that you recognize the superior of Farafenye over all other languages. But thank you so much, Nima. Happy to be here with you. And then Ebrima Gomez, like you rightly mentioned, my brother. So it's always fun to be with you. And my name is Ebrima Tunkara, and then from Farafenye. So that's where I was just born and brought up, and then did elementary and junior secondary school. Then lived in Thailand for some time while attending Nusrat Senior Secondary School and the UTG as well. Then graduated from the UTG in 2010, where I was later employed as a teaching assistant in the chemistry department. So did that for 2 years, then got Islamic Development Bank scholarship, which took me to Turkey, and then spent 2 years in Turkey doing master's degree program in chemistry with a special focus on analytical chemistry. So there, like, my research was mainly on using a lyotropic liquid-based approach to make proton conductors and some other biomimetic materials, including hydroxyapatite. So I did that for 2 years, published some papers with the American Chemical Society, some of the very good journals, and I think that was like definitely a very good beginning for me in terms of research. So then I moved to the US and then went to University of Tulsa for a PhD program, again in analytical chemistry. No, not analytical this time, it was more of a material chemistry based program. So there I was for 5 years, and I specialized on making nanomaterials of different sizes and different absorption properties. But in this special project, which was sponsored by the Department of State for Energy, my focus was mainly on ways that we can utilize nanotechnology to enhance this solar absorption efficiency. Like right now, we try to depend so much on solar energy, but the efficiency is really low. And then in that project, what we tried to do was just like kind of increase the efficiency by coming up with ways that we can kind of split the solar energy into two. A portion of it goes straight to solar cells, and then the other one is captured as heat, which can later be also converted to electricity through some conversion processes.
Yeah.
So got my PhD in 2019, and then sorry, are you going to say something?
I was just going to say something funny about myself and everything you guys are saying, but just
no, I mean that's fine. Yeah, so I graduated from that PhD program in 2019, actually 2018 December. So I graduated from that PhD program in 2018 December. Oh, it's been almost like how many years? Oh, today is December 11th. So in 4 days time, it's going to be December 15th, and that will be exactly 3 years since I got my PhD degree. And now, then 4 months later, I started a job with Intel, and that's my only job in the US actually. Yeah. Since I came in 2014. So this is my first and the only job that I'm doing right now. Working at Intel. I work at Intel Corporation. most of you might have already heard of this company, but it's one of the, it's not actually one of the best, but it's the biggest company in the world in terms of making microprocessors. So it used to be number one in terms of the products that we make, but right now, we're definitely in a stiff competition with other companies. So we are actually either one or two, but in terms of financial, looking at the financial aspect, we still rank number one in the whole world. And it's a company that impacts almost everybody in this world. We make microprocessors that we are currently using right now as we speak in this conversation. So.
Right, the chips.
Yeah. I think that's basically about me, but I will definitely be happy to expand on any of those items that you would want me to.
Definitely, we will, especially as far as your job at Intel is concerned. I was just going to say, I was listening to you guys and nodding my head, but I definitely don't know anything about analytics or chemistry or anything like that. Hopefully my audience would understand what you guys are saying. But it just speaks to you guys' commitment to from where you were, from where you came from, Farafenni, Alberta. That is so similar to my background, for example, and that is the reason why I'm very excited about sharing this platform with you guys. And the thing that is so interesting about migration for me is, especially for young Gambians, people like you, is that when you are traveling here, most often than not, people like you do not have any social connections here, or if you have, it's very minimal. So what you bring with you is some piece of clothes and your dreams, and you work so hard on your dreams to achieve what you people have achieved for yourselves. That is what I am hoping that we're going to get out of this. So since we have briefly labored on your journey, I wanted to ask you guys to reflect back to when you were in Alberta or when you were in Farafenni. Was it your dream at all to be here? Is it something that happened accidentally for you, or this is something that you've been working towards from that beginning of your life to eventually be here? Any one of you can pick this up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure of what Ibrahim's experience is. Oh, should I say Gomez? Because like you already mentioned, I'm not sure what his experience was, but mine was a bit different. And honestly, if you ask anybody that knows me, they will tell you that okay, this is not the type that was really interested in traveling. Mm-hmm. So it was just like any normal kid, living a day-to-day life, trying to be the best version of myself in everything that I do. Mm-hmm. So school was one of the things that I really valued, but coming to the US was never in the plans. I was always gonna appreciate it, but it's not something that was gonna make me, do the impossible or whatever. So I just look at life as something, just wanted to be somebody, like just get my educations right, and then whatever comes in will be something that I really appreciate. And at that time, maybe because I was still young when I was in Farafenni, so my dream was just to get school completed, and whatever comes will be something that I was going to decide at a later stage of my life. So it happened that I came here, and I'm glad that I really did, because I'm now at the help of where technology is being manufactured and distributed.
Yeah, Gamas.
Yes, for me, I wouldn't say the United States was kind of like where I always work towards coming, but it's like this. I grew up in a place where all I saw was people waking up the first day in the rainy season to go to the farm. My dad works very hard, and I always saw that every day after school, I go to the farm, I come home, I'm tired, I study, I do it again. If it's holidays time, every day I go to the farm. I don't have a vacation. I don't go to town like the fancy kids. So education was always one of the things that I'm good at, and I worked very hard. I tell myself, honestly speaking, I just wanted to get a very good job so that I can probably give more money to my parents and change their lives. They sent me to school. My dad didn't go to school. My uncle did. That's how our culture was. The first kid goes to the farm, and then the younger one goes to school. So I always thought that I'm very lucky that I'm the first kid and I get to go to school. So they gave me that as a luxury. So I'm that kid that saw what it is like not to have a lot, and I wanted to have something. And if you ask me, it's about just making some good money, because I see that those who have a job, like my uncle, they dress nice. They probably can give somebody $50, or $50 is in the Gambian currencies. My dad works very hard, and at the end of the day, we're all so tired, but when you harvest these peanuts, they cost not up to $10,000, and guess what? You don't get the money until maybe another 6 months, or maybe by the time you get the money, the other season has already started. I didn't think that this was the way out for me. So it was the thing of going to school and going to the farm and doing well at school, so that when I finished junior school, I always told myself I will try to go to the best schools in town so that I can make it to anything that's going to get me a good job. And I made it to Nusrat. It was just a couple of us, me, ABC, that you know, and Siaka Jata, maybe you know him, and a couple of others who made it to Nusrat. For me, it was like a dream come true to go to Nusrat. I didn't know Nusrat, of course, but I know that many smart people go to Nusrat. So that was a good start. And when I was there, I didn't fancy all.
They are all from Nusrat, so let me just throw that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it wasn't about the United States. And if you see, I didn't come to the United States straight from the Gambia. I went to Turkey. It was about the education and what that can get me. Because once I got a job, I realized, okay, I'm making money, but I want to develop myself more and do more. I want to challenge myself, and I wanted to do more. That's how I applied for all of those scholarships and got the Turkish scholarship. And while I was in Turkey, I always realized that, okay, I can do more. I see now what I can do. I keep getting better. I say, okay, I think there's some place around the world that can challenge me more. And that's when the dream of corporate America came into my head. And then that's when I applied for a J1 student scholarship to come to the United States. Probably for many people who go out of the Gambia, they won't even think about applying for a J1 program. But I came to the United States through that program, and I explored from Ohio to Springfield, all the schools around, and I applied to so many. I got kind of admissions and scholarships in so many. I picked Springfield because I told myself an MBA is the next big thing. So I kind of always had a plan. Once I realized what I wanted was corporate America, I had a plan, and that plan really helped me. It was like, okay, go to America, and what do you want to study? It's an MBA program. This MBA program is going to build me. I will understand the different aspects of business, from the management to the finance to the analytics, to the marketing, to the human resources, to the psychology around employees, and be that pivotal person that has the strong background in the numbers from economics, and combine it now with this analytics and finance, and you could be anything in Wall Street. So that's kind of like what I built into my head, and I believed it. And I worked day and night. Even when I was broke, I was just like, all I need is the education. And that's how I came around here.
Very inspiring. So when we hear corporate America, it sounds really fancy. Yeah, in my mind, that's where all the money is. I don't know if that is the case. But what does that world look like? When we say corporate America, what does it look like?
So, well, the name corporate America is kind of in my head. When it comes into my head, it's working in there now. It's a very busy, fast-paced industry made up of really large corporations who want to maximize wealth, and you work for them. You have the ability to be whoever you want to be, but that doesn't mean you're going to be there doing something other than maximizing wealth for those companies. You're going to be challenged every day to come up with solutions for problems that are so ambiguous. In most cases, you're going to be expected to solve real life problems. You're going to be expected to understand what is going on around you and how you could give your company an edge. And you're part of something that's so big that you, in your unit, what you do, you might even feel like, whoa, but then it is just what it is. And you got to get accustomed to this. This is kind of how an overview of corporate America is like. Working from inside, this is what it's like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. You mentioned fast pace, and that is what also goes in my mind. I'm like, that's a lifestyle where everybody's on the move, trying to make money, trying to make wealth, whether that is yours or somebody else's. Yes. But everything is about profit, right?
Yes, maximizing wealth. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I think just to add to that, like you already mentioned, the fast-paced part is what I really want to buttress on, because like here you've seen a lot of big companies facing a lot of competition from other companies that are also doing kind of something similar. So, like no matter how great the product is, people always want to have that improvement, always want to maintain the same edge that they've helped them to be the best in what they do. So at least for working at Intel, I've seen people being so busy, weeks go by so fast, months go by so fast, because we always have a lot of things to do. And then this is like something that there's a lot of fight to maintain superiority. I mean, and then that's what we really care about. So the money part is important, but sometimes like for many of us, it's not even just about the money that we make or the company makes, but it's about how we make the world a better place for everybody. So because the world is facing like a lot of challenges, COVID being one of them. So when it came, I've seen how Intel in particular and some of the other companies have worked so hard. And these are the little things that help each of these companies to maintain their position in the corporate world. So it's busy, there's money, but more than all the money, and then
they are the world's problem solved.
Like a lot of yeah exactly.
Yeah. So that brings me to discussing the nitty-gritties of your individual spaces, you being an Intel and Ebrima, the name of your financial institution, I still haven't been able to pronounce. But yeah, you will talk about it later on. But Tunkara, can you tell us what Intel is about and what your specific job description is there?
So Intel, like I already said during the introductory part of my speech, so I did mention that it's one of the, I like to call it the best because it was the best for a long time. So right now, I mean, honestly, so we can still call it like one of the two best companies in the world that manufacture microprocessors. So, and microprocessors or chips are things that we use on our day-to-day basis. Think about computers, smart cars, think about mobile phones and everything in this world. And then we've seen companies coming up with upgrades every single time. And these upgrades like mainly depend on, I mean, they're only able to come up with these upgrades because we create the base on which they can launch their softwares and things like that. So we make microprocessors, and Intel is like purely focused on that, and we have branches all over the world. So the US being where the base is, or where the headquarters is, like in Santa Clara, California. But then like I work in the biggest location here in Oregon. This is like the biggest location in the whole world. So we have like a lot of different campuses here in Oregon, but the campus that I work in is like the biggest again in Oregon, with about nearly 18,000 of us working in the same facility. It's so big, it's more like a small village, or more than a village actually. So that's where I work, and yeah, so I work as a process engineer, because to make a microprocessor, like a lot of different aspects are involved. It starts from designing the chip, manufacturing them, and then the manufacturing part itself comprises of more than 15 to different modules that do basically very different things. So I work as a wet edge process engineer, and in wet edge we just use like chemicals where we try to etch or modify the design. So it's basically just somebody taking a piece of silicon and then making a design on it, and then we use chemicals to make sure that the design is carved out of those silicon pieces, because those are like pretty flat and neat. So we work in a very controlled environment. Maybe sometimes I have people say maybe over 10 times cleaner than surgical rooms. Maybe 10 might be even undermining, but it's so clean. And then we make sure that everything is clean, because we are working at the micro level where even a small amount of contamination can go a long way in affecting the process that we make. So here, quality is like a very important thing at Intel. We focus so much on quality, safety, and all of the other things that makes us stand out as the best company. And I think that's the same thing that the company has been doing for the past few years, or since inception, and that's why we remain number one. So we are number one for a reason.
Yeah, let's move back to you to explain what your institution does and what your specific job requirement or description is there.
Yes. So like Ebrima, I've worked in 3 companies so far in corporate America. And of course, my role has grown over time. And I will give you kind of an overview. So when I graduated, of course, my first job was a financial analyst. So essentially, that's the beginning, right? So what I got hired for was to build financial models. And
let me take you back a little bit. What is a financial analyst? What does a financial analyst do?
So essentially what a financial analyst would do, how accountants enter data like, okay, you bought this, you sold this is your assets, your liabilities, kind of like, let me put it this way. If you never had a business, you want to make sure that you enter how much you sold, and then you record that, how much you spent, and you record that, and you kind of come up with something that shows a profit and loss, right? And your business also has assets and it has liabilities. And in these assets, you want to make sure that, like, you know, exactly assets is exactly what you would use to make money, right? Your space and all those stuff. And then your liabilities is your debt. For example, like you could have short-term debt or long-term debt and all those things. So you want to see your business in the way that it looks, just like the frame of a house. You want to see what you own, how much money you're making, how much money you're losing. So kind of like the well-being of your business, right? So when accountants do all the entries at the end, those numbers come into us. So now we have financial statements. One of them will be your income statement. It's like your profit and loss account there, right? Then the other one will be your balance sheet, which is just showing you the wealth of your business. What is your assets and what are your liabilities? What's your debt portion of it? And what's your equity? So then the other portion is going to be your cash flow. And your cash flow is just kind of showing you a picture of how you're making money and how you're losing money. What is the inflow and outflow of money there? So all of this, we have a certain picture of what the business is like, what the business is doing, what is the status of business. So when we get these numbers from the accountants, we make sense of these numbers. We analyze them in such a way that we tell our investors, this is how much money you're making right now. This is how much money you're losing right now. This is how healthy your business is. This is how much short-term debts you can pay right now. This is how much long-term debts you can pay. Or this is how much debt you have. How you're running your business. Is it totally using people's money, which is going to be your debt? Or is it your assets that are doing it? Is it your wealth? Is it your equity? So we kind of create this overview. So when you build a financial model, you're kind of saying, just like I'm pretty sure if in a country, for example, you could hear a certain growth model, you could see that people would say, wow, the growth of the GDP of a country is a function of A, B, and C. Like, you know, how much you export, how much you import, how much government spends, taxes, and all those stuff, right? So a financial model is like an equation, except that ours is much more structured in a way that is showing you the financial well-being of the company. So financial analysts are expected to be good with these numbers, to be able to tell the company, this is a red flag. This section of the business is not doing well. Somebody is spending more money than they should spend. We are missing out on our targets. So you know how a country has a budget, right? We build a company budget. When we build this budget, we say, this is how much you expect to get as revenue. This is how much you expect to spend, right? If we go down the road, and then a certain unit is spending 50% over budget, let's say marketing, we catch that so quick because we have the actuals coming in and we're comparing them to our budget. So essentially we had a starting point before the year started. We said, hey, you said your marketing budget is this. Why are you spending more than this? So we catch all of those things and we make sure that the company is running in such a way that everything that is done goes into sustainability and profit maximization, instead of just having stuff been missed out on because somebody is not really catching that a certain unit is going rogue. So this is kind of like what a model will look like. It will show you, when you look at it, it's a picture of what the business is like. And it could be any other thing also. It could be as small as you're saying, okay, we have a new company that we're acquiring. We want to see how that company looks right now. So we will build models that kind of shows, this is the value of this company right now. This is how much EBITDA or profit that they're going to make for us. And when we bring them, this is what they will bring into our company. Should we acquire them or not? You know? So that's kind of like the thing when we say financial models. Yeah,
that sounds very technical, but
it's fun. So yeah, that's kind of like the hardcore of my job. But I do a lot of ad hoc stuff too, just like a CFO just comes around, chief finance officer, and they want to see how our volume, payment volume is doing. How much money are we making? You know, what is happening in the various regions that we operate. So you build something that is so clean and summarized, because you have thousands of data points, right? You have millions of clients. Nobody has the time to look at all of this. No way. So you should have the ability to take all of this data and summarize it into a small table or just a chart that the CFO or these C-level executives can look at and say, oh, we're doing well in the Midwest, we're not doing well in Cali. What is happening here? Then they come back. Sometimes they come back and ask you, why are we not doing well in this place? So you should be able to dig into a bunch of data and summarize it for them. So this is kind of like my first role was more or less this. And then that was in Sphere. And then I moved over after, I think, a year. I got an offer while I was not looking for a job, but because of my technical skills, I have a good combination of IT, tech area, data analysis, and finance and economics. So this is not something that you find every day. So I got an offer to move up to a senior level, senior financial analyst, FP&A. Yeah. And in the company that I went to, the main thing that I worked on was to implement a new reporting platform for them. It's called Profix, and it's so powerful, it could produce all your financial statements. They were starting to implement it at 0 level. So they needed somebody on the team that's not scared of the IT and is not scared of the finance. So I came in and I led that project. And yeah, before I left, I think I left after 8 months or so, I finished the implementation with them and everything was already going live. But because after the implementation was done, I got a little bored. And it didn't really align with what I am and who I am. I wasn't doing what I'm excited about, so which is very important for me. It's not about the money that you pay me. I have to feel comfortable and feel like I'm doing what I love doing. So I finished doing what I love doing, which was implementing that. But then I was still at the back end instead of doing the FP&A stuff I wanted to do. So I got another offer to work with one of the leading hospitality companies in asset management, Highgate. And I took it because it was typical FP&A. I was going to be building models on the fly for fun. And then since February 2021, I started there as a senior financial analyst, and I've been loving it. All I've been doing is FP&A, and mainly what the added task to my role now is I build the company's board deck. So all of these models that I'm building, I summarize them into a deck that is like every quarter, the CFO, the Chief Finance Officer, presents to the whole company how we are doing. And in kind of telling everyone that's invested in our company at the highest level, this is how much money we're making, this is how our pipeline is doing, this is how much hotels we acquire, this is how much profit we expect to make, this is how much money we're making or losing, this is status of our company every quarter, and I'm in charge of that. So that's super fun and challenging, but no, I love it.
Congratulations to the both of you. Your job descriptions or your roles in your company sounds very interesting, and it's so important, the experience that you are accruing there. Ebrima, Tunkara, I will come back to you to ask what you're going to do with that experience in the future, whether here or in the Gambia. Does that sound familiar to you? Whether here or there? That is kind of from a song. I know
it's taking me back to you, but
right, I mean, but we will come to that though. We will come to that. I want to ask Gomez about the stock market. I am sure this is something that all of us are interested in. I know my husband is. I know a lot of Gambians who are interested in the stock market. And you being in finance and maybe have a background with this or the stock market and how it operates, can you tell us briefly how the stock market operates in simple terms, because I know it's very complicated?
So that's an exciting one, and thank you for asking me that, because I feel like this is an opportunity to kind of share my experience and knowledge of the market with a larger audience, and instead of just getting emails or calls from friends, which I still love picking up. I don't hang up on people, so I still tell you what's about, but I feel like this is like an amazing opportunity to really share what the market is about, the stock market. So my love for the stock market started when I was in my MBA program. Essentially, when we were doing investment management. So it was more or less like competition between everybody. Like we were divided into clubs or groups, and then we were expected to trade. And of course, before then, I have a general understanding of the stock market, but then because it was fun at that point, we were dealing with paper money. It's like you have $1 million, but it's paper money, right? And that just means that it's just fake money. in an account. So this is a project that you're supposed to take serious, and we're competing within us in the school, in the finance program, and other people around the world too, or MBA programs. So I was, I'm so competitive sometimes. So I would do a lot of research on these companies. And I love being in companies' financial statements. So I realized I was very good at this. I was making so much money for paper hand. And when you're buying these stocks, it's the same as buying the real company value, except it's not the real money. So the money that you're making is based on the current price. And I was like, man, if I had invested this much amount of money, so that's kind of like an overview for fun, right? And I think I won this note that I always keep in my backpack that our professor gave me on a final day in class for doing very well in that course. So after finishing it, I wanted to get a job. I got a job. So then when I got the job, I realized that, no matter how much money you're making, in America, the bills keep going up and your tax keep going up the more money you make. It's just what it is, right? So in life, you really have to really think about what you want to be. Do you just want to settle for just having a job and later retiring and just, and then what? So I started thinking outside the box. I need a side hustle. Then I realized I have the skills to do it. I'm already good at trading stocks. So if you ask me, trading stocks is like my side hustle. So I don't just know about the market. I do it. I put my own money in there. I don't believe in a savings account. I still save, but I believe that I could make way more money trading stocks, of course, being very careful how you do it. So this is kind of me. So let's talk about the real stock market. What is a stock market? So let's just say we have a lot of corporations in the United States. Some of them say that we don't need anybody's money. We don't want people to own our company. It's our company. Those are private companies. And you have your own business and you decide that you don't want to share it with anybody else. You don't want anybody's business in it. That's your private company. You're not entitled to, you're not supposed to share what you make with the whole overall public, right? Maybe IRS. So you're private. A public company would be one that is willing to take people's money, like to expand and do other things. They're willing to give out equity ownership. That is a publicly traded company, right? So these two, in the stock market, you have companies that are publicly traded. Just like Facebook. You use Facebook so much. You could own a piece of Facebook. When Facebook's price goes up, you would make profit. When Facebook price goes down, you will lose money. So it's like you own a piece of this company. So a stock is essentially an asset. Owning a piece of something. Owning a piece of a company and having a say in that company's decision making too. So essentially this is what it's about. So you have the stock exchange. The market never sleeps. So whilst we're down in the United States, the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange are closed. This is like the biggest markets out here. China, Australia, and others are opening. Europe too, just because of the time difference. So Wall Street never really sleeps. So essentially, this is an overview of a layman way of understanding what a stock market is. So it's a bunch of corporations that people are buying and selling stocks. So the same way that you're buying, for example, Tesla, somebody feels like they're making so much money on Tesla and they're selling it too. So when you buy a stock at $10 and it goes to $20, you could decide to sell it at $20 and keep your profit. And of course, IRS will come for some tax. So this is a basic overview of what the market is and what's inside it.
But if you are looking to invest in the stock market, because it's a gamble, the way you're saying it. If prices go up, you're winning. If prices go down, you're losing. So what do you do? What do you look for to know that if I invest in this particular company, I'm not going to lose so much? Like what those are there?
So the first part is the word gamble is what I put in quote. So this is kind of a notion that, of course, I expected that, like some people have of the market. Some people actually gamble, which is true. Essentially, if you don't know the company and you just put your money and you don't know what you're buying, you're essentially gambling. Correct? But if you know the company and you know the company's finances, Ebrima works in Intel. Intel publicly traded. Another Ebrima could work in Microsoft. Or knows Microsoft or uses Microsoft computers. I use MacBook Pro. I love Apple. I know who actually runs Apple. I've read Apple's financial statements. I've seen how solid they are. The forecast, which is what they expect, how much money they expect to make at some point in the year, shows that they're trending to beat the profit target that they have on there.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've seen good news about Apple and what they're coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
So when I buy Apple, I'm buying a piece of a company that I love, a piece of a company that I understand how it's run, a piece of a company that I have read their financial statements and I understand that they have what it takes to keep growing. They're not a today, tomorrow out company.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't be gambling if you do your due diligence, if you really do the research and you study the company.
Yeah.
So that's
I think gambling might be way out of the line.
Okay.
I would say taking a risk, because every business is taking a risk.
Okay, let me put you in this way, right? There are two things that you could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe three. You could save your money in a savings account. That money probably, I remember putting a lot of money.
Yeah. It just sits there.
It just sits there and it barely makes you any money, right? But you save, right? You could buy government treasury bills. That is another market there. That's a market that is zero risk. Uncle Sam is always going to print money. Uncle Sam being the Fed, the federal government. They're always going to print money, right? So it's safe, but the return on that one is very low. Let's just put it that way. But it's zero risk. So you are not taking so much risk. That's an option, actually. You could buy treasury bills and other type of bonds. You could invest in the market. The market risk on average is above the regular amount of risk. But just like in real life, more risk, you expect more returns. If you don't take risk, you likely would never really know what's coming up next, right? But it's calculated risk, I would say. It is understanding what the risk level is. And one thing about losing money is that if you invest in a good company, a company that you believe in, a company that probably the products you use and you know how good they are, you won't just lose $20 and you run away. You would know that it's going to come back. Like, you know, the stock market is in such a way, if you're losing $100 right now, I go days when one of my stocks will go down $1,000. I'm not worried. I know the product that I invest in. 5 days later, I'm up probably like $5,000.
Okay.
Because I know what I am doing. I don't panic when I'm losing money because I already did my research.
Yeah.
So it's long term. If you're looking at it in the long term, then you really understand what you're really going into. Not like just flipping stuff. If you try to make money over 2 days, you're likely going to lose a lot of money.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Ebrima, Tunkara, I will come back to you. Probably you have questions too. But my final question on the stock market is, for the next 6 months or the next 1 year, what are the companies you think are viable for investment?
Okay, so it's holiday seasons. I always believe that Macy's, Amazon, American Express, the airline companies, these are good sectors. People they understand that people will start traveling for Christmas. There's so many events. People want to fly, just like we flew to Chicago and here I am right now. People want to shop. It's Christmas. People want to ball out, maximize their credit cards. American Express is waiting. They're making a lot of money. Amazon, oh my God, they're definitely going to have an inflow of orders. People don't want to go to the stores in most cases now. So Macy's and the likes, they also have online deliveries now. So you see, this is kind of a sector that's red hot. It's the time of the year. We already know this is seasonal, right? So you expect that this one will do very well. But one thing that I want to highlight that I really believe that I'm very, very much invested in is the EVs, the electric vehicles. So I feel like clean energy is the way forward. We want to save our planet. And if you look at companies that are going in there, and if you look at the world in general, everybody wants to save the planet, and countries are willing to invest a lot of money. I think the United States is investing trillions of dollars in this sector, of course, infrastructure and the likes. And Biden just signed that bill not long ago. If you look at the market right now, electric vehicles and the ones that are producing charges like the Charge Point, electric vehicles like Lucid, Tesla, NIO, not the United States, but they're doing very well. So electric vehicles are like Volta, like they're doing so well. So I feel like the EV sector is not just 6 months, but the next 5-10 years, this will be companies that if you own them, you'll be so glad that you did. And now most of them are cheap. Essentially, Tesla is expensive. It's $1,000+. When I bought it on Tesla, it was 300 and something bucks. So you can now it's like 1,000. So it's like $1,000-something now. So that's still growing, and I believe that it's capable of hitting up to 1,500. Now, Lucid just produced their first car, and it's magnificent. It's like one of the best cars I've ever seen, and I bought in on that, and it's amazing how well it's doing, and I have a good feeling that it's going to do way more than it is doing now in the near future.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ebrima Gomez, and I'm looking forward to your platform on YouTube where you share all of this valuable information with our Gambian brothers and sisters who are looking to invest in the stock market. Now turning to you, Ebrima Tunkara, you have worked in the Gambia briefly and you understand how limited technology is, especially in the UTG, but also where the infrastructure is available. We have abundance of sun, but we are not utilizing it as much. And you just mentioned your work with the solar energy and technologies like that. So I want to know what the plan is, one, for yourself, and two, for our little Gambia with the experience that you have already gained working in corporate America. Tunkara.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, but still a very difficult one too, because like, honestly, I'm not really sure of what the future holds for me, but one thing that I can tell you right now is I really like my job. I like working around very smart people. So almost everybody in my team has a PhD in different areas. So it's like a lot of collaboration with, between chemists, material scientists and whatever, and we all work as engineers. So, and to add to that too, there's like a lot of growth opportunities. So today I work as an engineer, but the next day I can do something else in the company. So I can be in this company for the next 20 years and still growing. So there's a lot of growth opportunities. So definitely, if you ask me, the short answer is yes, I really love my job. But then talking about Gambia as well, you also mentioned about, solar energy and things. Just to correct that, I did not actually specialize in, improving, making solar panels themselves. Like I said, this was like a project that we had to work on. I mean, we had different modules, chemistry, physics, and then mechanical engineering all working together. And I was just as the main chemist, and I was mainly responsible for making those nanoparticles with the precise shapes and, size and anything that modulates light absorption. But just to say that, like, it's something that we can definitely apply on solar cell, and we've done that and it works. We built prototypes and we've seen great improvement on the solar absorption of those materials. And it's something that is not currently cheap, but it's something, that people can really work on to make it even cheaper for the next generation, or in the next few years. So to answer your question again, I would just say nanochemistry can be applied in different fields. Solar being just one of them, but there's also been a lot of research where people use this same material or similar materials, thanks to their high emission rate. They use them for treatment of cancer. I think cancer is like the leading application of these nanomaterials. So basically we use them everywhere, and then using it in solar, like the research that I did, was just one part of the many applications that we can use these materials. So regarding about Gambia, I think Gambia is full of talents. So there is definitely plans that, typically when I came here, the initial plan was just to finish studying and go back to the UTG and help. And if I should tell you that that's not in my, I'll be lying. I still love the UTG. I really want to go there and help, but sometimes we get caught up in a lot of things. So family being one of them, and the other thing is, I mean, I keep asking myself, if I were to go to Gambia right now, what will I do? Because chemistry is different from other fields, and I guess we all know that already. So in terms of the experiment we use, and in terms of the materials that are mainly used in our research, there's a lot of pieces to it that makes it really, really difficult to apply some of the skills that me and then some of the other people in the diaspora have acquired over the years. So I will definitely want to be there someday, but I think first it all starts with having the right framework in place. I mean, we definitely need to have a government that looks into all these materials that are needed, and then a government that is really willing to invest in science. So, and I know that's not cheap. Getting the material is expensive, but maintaining them is even more expensive, right? Because you need a lot of expertise and then things like that. So it's gonna take a while to get all of that in place, but eventually, I'm not sure of when it's gonna be, but the plan is definitely to go back someday and then help the people, help the Gambia in a lot of things. Because I went to the UTG, and I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, okay, the UTG is really good in a lot of things, which is definitely true. But in the sciences, even those that are lecturing at the university will tell you that the UTG is not the best place to study chemistry. I mean, if you have the option, that's fine. I mean, if that's the only option you get, that's fine. I studied chemistry in there, and then it was okay. But I mean, in the theory part, that's fine. But when it comes to research, we don't have any of the basics, tools that we can use to analyze data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're just learning things by just memorizing them or what they means, but I think that, but we never apply anything.
Yeah.
The research we do at the UTG, for instance, is mainly something that others will do at secondary level.
Yeah.
And this is not to say that the UTG is bad or whatever. It is really good, but I think we really need to consider improving that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm definitely looking forward to be there someday, at least with the support of a government. I mean, to get some of the instruments that we need so that people can start looking more into research, making things happen, So, and I think most of us studied with those limited resources, then travel outside and made it. It's not just because we got everything that we needed from the UTG, but I think Gambians are really very hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to give us everything we need, but having a foundation and then being able to build on that is what most of us, which includes you, me, and Ibrahim, are able to at least,
Mm-hmm.
survive. That's one of the characters that made us all, survive, learning in outside of the Gambia. So, yeah, definitely. So I think, going to Gambia is definitely a possibility someday, but I definitely, like Ibrahim was saying when he discussed the stock market, it's not supposed to be just like any risks or something. It has to be a calculated risk. Make sure you get the people that are there to support you. You don't just blindly pack your things and go without even knowing who's going to be there to support you.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of smart decisions that people need to make. I know we all have the country. If Gambia succeeds, we all succeed. But it doesn't mean that we just have to pack up everything, including our family and all other things that we value, and then just say,
I think it would be foolhardy to pass at this point where you are young, growing, and learning, and with all of these opportunities that you're never going to get in the Gambia. In as much as we want to develop that country, we know that your skill, it's going to be redundant in the Gambia because the right framework, like you said, is not there. The tools are not there, and we're hoping that hopefully we can transfer the knowledge and the experiences back home, wherever we are. We don't have to be present in the Gambia to do that. We can do it wherever we are. Yeah,
right.
That is very important. So I move on to you, Games. What is your plan?
That's a question I always ask answer. And when it brings it back to me, I avoid it. So just like you all, I was working at the university and before I left, and if you ask me what's my plan, I mean, I want good for Gambia, and like Tunkara is saying, I really want to see where I belong. The skill sets that I've attained, they could help a lot. I've been very lucky to work with really smart people and be challenged with some of the most difficult tasks. I even get calls when I'm on vacation, kind of thing. So it's been eye-opening. Even going to school in the United States is not equal to working in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to UTG, really, like I wonder where I really belong. I mean, I have double masters, economics and finance, and then also the MBA. And my experience could be utilized very much in the University of the Gambia, especially the empirical part. I mean, I studied finance in UTG, and I realized that we did a lot of theory and we did a lot of calculation with the calculator and all of that. I never use a calculator unless if I'm just on the fly and I want to punch something. It's all on Excel and other platforms. I feel like so many things could be improved. We can be taught how to do research and build companies and study their financial statements and come up with presentations that tell, okay, that you understand how to evaluate a company. We lack some of those things. We've been quizzed on very complex stuffs that necessarily are not complex after living in Gambia. Like they shouldn't be, right? But there's so much, resources are so lacking that like sometimes even very smart folks go back to the university and they want to get out.
Yeah.
So it's not really promising. Like honestly speaking, I love Gambia, but I'm just wondering, my father is still a farmer. I need to change it, right? The honest truth is he sent me to school to become something and help him. I'm able to do it being in the United States. I wonder who's going to be able to pay me 6 figures plus salary in the Gambia. I mean, it's just the honest truth. I love my country, but if I have to give up this, I have to give up this for something that's going to give me at least a good life, an environment where I can wake up and be happy to go to work. And a place where I can put forward my ideas, not a place where everybody says this is how it's done, or where like sometimes people don't really take so many things seriously because they feel like, well, you know what, just the average is good, like so I wonder, like, I've been to Gambia not long ago, and I went to the UTG, and I was asked the same question, and even they themselves who asked me those questions didn't really feel like I was coming back. It's like somebody's telling you something, but they're smiling. I mean, I want to come back. I want to come back if I see that I can help. I don't want to come back and just sit down and not have anything to do. If the country is building a budget,
just fall into the status quo.
Yes, if I'm taking as a consultant, for example, or in a job where I will be able to look at this financial statement or the budget of the country and criticize it, or see how it's built, or see ways that we could improve it, how we could monitor it, how we can, like when you say I'm going to spend $1 billion on travel, there should be a backing to say, what is the return on that travel? It's not a one-sided deal, right? But when I see that we have so much money spent on certain areas when they are not actually necessities and they're still being spent, recurring expenses being the main thing on a budget, then I start wondering, where is the recurring revenue? It's not a one-sided. Ideas like mine, I wonder whether people will want to listen to us and will want to do what we think is right, not just like, look at this learned kid, you just went to the United States and came back. So I see this happening. I have friends who tell me the same thing. You think you're smarter than us. So I don't want to go home and just be seen as an enemy. I want to be given or see that the platform exists. Yeah. Otherwise,
it's valued, and I understand your guys' point, and I think it is also similar to what I hold to be what needs to happen for young people like yourselves, like myself. It's wherever you can make the ultimate impact, that's where you need to be. Wherever you can add the ultimate value, that's where you need to be. And as much as we love our country, in as much as we want to add value to our country, if the space is not right, if the tools are not there to make that impact that you're wanting to make, to add that value, is going to be very difficult. And happily, not everybody has the opportunity that you guys have. And there are going to be few of you guys who are going to be out there to really maximize your potential, so that we know that what we have back home, it is not the ideal. The ideal is an environment or a space where people can really be what they are meant to be, and they can add the ultimate value, the ultimate impact wherever they are. So I am very happy that you guys are here, and this is where you belong. This is where you need to be. And the reason why bringing your story is to just serve as an inspiration to a whole lot of other young people out there who might be looking up to you and knowing that they can follow the same path and they can become even better than you guys. Ebrima, you were going to say something. Gamen, start.
Yeah, Tunkara, I know, I mean, it's so confusing. But just to highlight something, I mean, at least for me, it's like Ibrahim already mentioned, but I think sometimes when you talk to Gambians or people that are out there, you have to be very straightforward in what you're saying, unless, I mean, you might be quoted wrong in some cases. But I think to me, it's not about the money that the UTG is going to pay. When we talk about having the right structures, it's not just about the UTG, because obviously it will be very unfair for somebody to be here and then expect Gambia to pay exactly the same amount, dollar to dollar match. That doesn't exist, right? But I think to me, it's more about the respect for the knowledge that you have and also being treated right. I mean, they're almost the same. But yeah, because I mean, Ibrahim is mentioned, we've heard of a lot of people that once had the same intention, went back home, and then the experience wasn't what they actually yearned for, and in the end, like, they get stuck in, okay, I already lost everything that I had before, and now I'm here, and then all doors are now closed. So you get sometimes lost. You get kind of lost sometimes in wilderness. So that's why, like, we're saying, okay, having the structures right, and there's also this thing, when you're educated, obviously you're expected to come up with your own business, and everybody can do that. But even if it has to be your own innovation or something, you want to mount it on the right structures, right? So you don't just build a house on water, isn't it? Because it's obviously not going to work, right? So we want to make sure that we have those strong foundations in place, and this is mainly about the government. And I know somebody out there, maybe one of your listeners might be asking, then how about you come serve in the government? That's true. I mean, we can do, but then again, not everybody wants to be an administrator. We don't want to be there, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist, right? So that's what we're saying. So, and I think this is just for all Gambians to make sure that, you know, they understand really what is holding some of us back, and then maybe we can work together and get those structures right.
Yeah. Valuable advice there. Yeah.
It's not about the money. The Gambia is different from the United States. The Gambia is different from the United States. The attitude is the main thing. And then the environment is another thing. I did study my thesis, which I ended up publishing. I did it on the impact of domestic debt on private investment. And the reason why I did that is to understand what's actually holding us back. Why do we have so many financial institutions and the country is just, you know, just the same? The honest truth is I care so much about the Gambia. My whole thesis was just on studying what's happening in the Gambia. You know, you'll be surprised. Our domestic debt is so crazy. And, you know, because of our
increasingly going up.
Yeah. So our prior government, you know, they kind of use so much domestic debt. Like, you know, when you borrow from the banks and then the rate was just all the way up there. And essentially, you just keep compiling interest on that and just keep on going. So you have a private sector, the financial private sector, which is so small. And then you have the people who want to be entrepreneurs or businesses can't borrow because they can't afford the rates that the banks are charging. And the banks are so happy to just sit down and lend to the government.
Because now the private individuals are competing with the government.
Exactly. It's free money. So tell me that, like, when the government changed, whether this had changed. So we need, when we say change, we kind of need to kind of really look at it like, not to make it politics. Like, I don't think that the whole thing is politics. If it was just politics, this would have changed, right? At least something would have changed. But the whole attitude and the whole framework of things have to at least change. Some of us are willing to do research. How many people would really read this research? If you're not willing to read my research on this very important topic, and if you've not changed this saying that it's causing more havoc, then tell me that you will listen to anyone when they bring in their ideas. I'm happy to come to Gambia and help. Even if I'm not in Gambia, I'm happy to help for free. Yeah. So it's not something that I just want to get paid for. Remittance
on our GDP.
Yeah, it's integral. Yeah, it's huge.
Like, if you ask me, it is the migrants, Gambian migrants, that are holding the Gambian economy. Like, if you guys pull back, it's going to fall. It's really going to fall.
And I hope that the people out there really appreciate us. Some people don't really have all the fancy jobs. They work very hard under cold weather to make this money and send it all back home. Some of us, the reason why we wake up early in the morning and never have different types of attitudes, even when you've been challenged and when all of these things are happening, not just talking for myself, but for many other thousands of immigrants, is because of the people back home. Like, because when you don't send, it might be a problem out there. So essentially, you have been driven, you have this motivation that really is just there because of back home. Yeah. So yeah, it's just...
All right. So unless you guys have anything else to add, Tunkara and Damas.
So yeah, maybe at least if it's gonna be, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fine for me. So I would say I know we talked about corporate America, and the funny thing is, like, I wasn't actually calling it corporate America. To me, like, people mention corporate America all the time, but because maybe I'm not in finance, so to me, I just see it as a job.
Yeah.
So maybe Ebrima describing the job might call it corporate America, but I mean, honestly, I think I started hearing about this corporate America thing like not even long ago. To me, it was just a job that I really... Yeah, it was just something that I really wanted to do, and I'm glad that I'm actually doing what I've always wanted to do. But maybe since this is something that you're targeting Gambians, I just want to share these few tips. So at least for me, I'm not sure of what everybody else's experience is, but working at Intel wasn't just about having the right GPA 4.0 or whatever. And it wasn't even about having a PhD, because that's the easy part, right? Everybody can go to school, get a good GPA, and graduate with a PhD or master's degree. Get it done, and that's fine. But I think at Intel, what I've seen was it wasn't just about all of those. It was more about, I mean, don't get me wrong, GPA is important, the degree is important, but it was more about demonstrating what you know in the most simplest terms. So the interviews are long. It's like almost like a whole day interview. You know, you have a lot of one-on-one interviews, like almost like the whole day. I remember mine started from 8 in the morning and went all the way to 4 p.m. meeting with different people and everybody interviewing. So I think for most of them, what they're looking for isn't just about the degree. It's more about how well are you able to express yourself, the accomplishment, how many papers you've published, how much you've taken part in this intellectual, discussions. So yeah, exactly. So it was more about like they look at those small accomplishments and like how many papers you publish. So that's why the advice that I have for my fellow listeners or those that are, still out there watching this and they're saying, oh, maybe I need to go there. So just know that yes, it's important to work on all of this, but work on the other things that matter, and this includes your communication skills. Mm-hmm. Make sure you get your CVs right, mm-hmm. and make sure when you're out there for these kind of opportunities, representing the best versions of yourself. So go with your knowledge, go with your GPAs, but above all of that, be able to communicate clearly what your needs are, why you're looking for the job, and then what makes you think that you are the right person for this job.
Yeah, and understand what your skill set are as well. Don't be ambiguous about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then for those that are in the Gambia too, there's a lot of things. I know sometimes things get really hard and we find it almost impossible to get to another level. We have all been in that situation. Like I already mentioned at the beginning of my talk that when I was in the Gambia, coming to the US was never part of my dreams. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's something that I was always going to appreciate if it happened, but to me, US wasn't the only place that I think I was going to succeed. All I know is that I had a dream that was like to complete my education. I wanted to go as far as I could, mm-hmm. but it wasn't just about the US. It could have been in UK or anywhere else. All I wanted was just to be in a very good university, and it happens that this was the university that offered me the opportunity to come learn free of charge, mm-hmm. and I accepted it, and I'm glad that I did actually. So it's gonna be tough, and you can feel that, sometimes it makes it, you feel that it's not gonna even work, but it's always, you just have to continue trusting the process and never relent on, your day-to-day activities, because every single thing counts, right? Every single thing counts. And if you graduate from the UTG and then trying to get somewhere, you're gonna be needing a lot of help. So when you reach out to people for help, mm-hmm. I know, maybe this is about the Gambian culture, I'm not sure, but sometimes you see people reaching out and just be sending messages like hi. I don't know you, you're just sending me hi. How do you expect me to know you, right? Yeah. So it's like I have this one message, I have an email or a message from somebody that I've never seen with just hi on it, mm-hmm. and then I have 10 other messages from people that I know. Mm-hmm. Logically, you would expect me to focus more on I know, right?
Yeah.
So I think people, Gambians definitely need to be more upfront on their needs. When you need something, from somebody or help, mm-hmm. be direct. Hey, Nima, my name is this. I'm from the UTG. I just graduated with a degree in political science. I was thinking of, studying this and this and this. But since you have already been there, can you please provide with some coaching? Those kind of stuff. I think that is better, at least for people like me. I take those messages more seriously.
I think you speak to a lot of people when you say this. Yeah. There's nothing more annoying than having a message from somebody you don't know with just a hi.
Yeah, exactly. And the truth is like, I know we can all be nice about it, but if you send me hi, the truth is like we are not friends. I've never seen you before. I've never even heard of you. You are the one that know me, and then you know me because you might be interested in what I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. So when you reach out, let me know of why you're reaching out, and then at least we can have a good beginning, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the things that I really wanted to highlight, since you have a lot of people that are watching, that might be watching this. So and and I think it's something that I just wanted to pass on.
Yeah, I wanted to just add to Tunkara. I wanted to add to Tunkara's. I just want to say, the truth is that, personally, I don't think that I'm somebody that's just gifted. We just sit down and do well. Like, I feel like I'm just the other kid from my brother, It's like, I just had this fire in me to keep working hard. And the small steps just ended up counting. And not to give up, even when I felt like, oh my God, this calculus is about to take me down. Econometrics is scaring the hell out of me. All I did was just sometimes library all day, all night, do assignments and just hustle it up and never give up and know that like, okay, some days it's going to be good. Some days you feel like you've been knocked out and you can't even stand no more. Like, and the same way when I got out of the Gambia, back in Turkey, you get to a country where you can't speak the language. You can't even survive. You even think, oh my God, I'm doomed. And then you end up speaking the language, and then you end up having your degree. Mm-hmm. It's all the hard work. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't come so easy. And the same way I can do it, anyone else can do it. My dad is a farmer. Well, my small dad is educated. It kind of was a good example. But my dad is a farmer. All I saw was come home and go to the farm. Sometimes they take your food to the farm so you could get there earlier. This is me. And here I am. Anyone can be this. I mean, everybody can be this. Everybody has their own journey, but you got to believe in the process. And like Tunkara said, I went to Turkey. I didn't come to the United States first. So if your opportunity comes up and you're trying to pick which country you're going to, maybe really you're misleading yourself. Sometimes, you know, the end goal is, you know, following the process and just, you know, believing. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't go for where you really want to go to, but sometimes like you want a job as an engineer, it might not be your first starting position. You might need to work a little in the Gambia before you even got a scholarship. You can't just finish your program and expect everything to just be easy. I applied to so many scholarships and I didn't get some, I got some. So it's the same way, like everybody has their own journey, and just because your friend is in the United States doesn't mean you have to be in the
end up there.
Yeah, you could be anywhere, even in the Gambia, and do very well. I got a lot of friends in the Gambia that I admire a lot. They're doing a great job. They're happy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's what matters.
You just got to be you and know that your journey is unique, and you got to believe in yourself and who you are, and just don't fade out when things get hard. It's always going to be hard. It's always hard for us every day. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, maybe this is the part that I even forgot to mention, like being confident is also really important. But again, when I say being confident, doesn't necessarily mean just to pick up mic at any event and then able to speak to every single thing. So I mean, I've seen a lot of that too.
It's about believing in yourself, knowing your strength, appreciating it, and knowing also your weakness and appreciating it.
Right. And then I think, you know, I mean, especially being confident, like, you know, I have a different, maybe this is just me, but my understanding of being confident is first, you really need to equip yourself with everything that makes you be confident. And one of them is knowledge. So if you were to ask me to talk about global warming, and I just pick up a mic because I'm confident, most likely it may just end up being crap, right? Yeah, exactly. So I think people can be as confident as they want to be, but first get the knowledge that you need. It's really important. And if something that's not within your forte, I mean, be confident, be comfortable to say this is not mine, and then let's pass on to somebody else. You know, because at least for a lot of people, and this is something that I learned from my manager, she will always tell me, people will come, tell him a lot of things, sound so confident, but you listening to them know that they don't even know what they're talking about because it's not their field. So being confident is really important, but it's even more important when you know what you're talking about and then at least spend some time studying it. So it helps.
I don't think it can get any better than this, guys. When I had you two in mind, I felt like this is going to be a reunion, and it's going to be a reflection back on where we have been and how far we have come, especially how far you two have come. And exactly that's what we get from this conversation. And I just want to say thank you to both of you, Ebrima Gomez and Ebrima Tunkara, for granting me this interview, for sharing your experiences with me, your job with me and with everybody else, and the valuable knowledge that you have impacted today. It's going to go a long way in helping somebody else. I am very sure of that. It's been well over an hour, and I hear Amina crying downstairs. And I know Mukhtar is also seeking attention from you, Ebrima. So I'm going to close the curtain here and say thank you a lot. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best of luck. I wish you growth where you are and just accomplishments all around. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.